So
Sure,
welcome
sure.
everyone to our episode 21 of Kapi Poha session and Ittefaq series. And today we have our guest speaker as S Ramanan. He's my coach. He's a life coach, a career coach, and an author. And he's been with corporate sector for almost 30 years. And he's also been in the social sector for 4 years. He's a learning and development facilitator and consultant as well. So and also he's written, I think, written Coach 366 code of his own, and he also got it published as well. And he's also writing a book which is going to be out as well. I think life in short, small bits and all.
Life in small bites. Yeah.
Small bites, yeah. And also, and I think your website is very interesting, which talks about sights and insights. Sight is about your travel stories, and insight is about again your stories related to life lessons, right?
Yeah. Life lessons.
And
Correct. Correct.
yeah, so yeah, I'm glad you're on the show because you're also part of the life skill with Dream and Dream project as well, right? After your corporate sector.
Yeah.
So probably you can
Yeah.
also give us more insight about life skill as well. So over to
Sure.
you,
Sure.
sir, to give an introduction about you as well to our viewers.
Right. So I'm Ramanan. I'm based out of Bangalore. So I was born and raised in Delhi, and I moved to Bangalore about 17, 18 years back. So I've been basically after about 30 years of corporate life, I'm on my own now. The last 8 years, I'm basically a facilitator, a coach, and a consultant, and I'm also a writer. So my day is spent in terms of I do coaching, consulting, training, and I do a lot of writing. My writing is, as Smita mentioned, it's about travel. I do a lot of travel stories, life lessons. And I write about snippets, small things in life which I tend to observe and I write about. And of course, I write about food, which is one of
Yeah.
my passions. So, so that's what I do. So I spend my time, during the day. It's either coaching, consulting, training, and now of course you've got online training also. And then I do a lot of writing. I also like to travel and take pictures and all that. So that's what I do right now. Yeah.
So, sir, we wanted to know your journey as a coach, basically. So, how has it been for you?
Yeah. So about maybe about 20 years ago, I created a mission statement for myself, which was, it's a long statement, but then the essence was contributing to people's lives. So that's how I created a mission statement after about almost like 1 year of work on myself. So contributing to people's lives became the mantra for my life in that sense. So at that time, I was in finance, and then I moved into training because I really wanted to contribute to people's lives. So I became a trainer, a consultant, at that time a facilitator. So one of the things that happens is when you get into training, when I get into a classroom and if there's a bunch of 20 people, I never looked at it like a training program. I always looked at it as if I'm contributing to 20 people's lives at that point. So this mantra of contributing to people's lives carried on. And people used to tell me that I'm a fairly good listener, and people would confide in me. They would ask me for advice. That's how, the genesis of coaching began in my own life. I would, kind of speak to my colleagues. I'll kind of help them out, listen to them, understand their situation, and offer my advice or suggestions or recommendations. So that was really the seeds of coaching that began at that point. And then I slowly when I got into training. Of course, training allows you to interact with people, and people come and meet you after the class, and they want to know more about it, or they are struggling with something in there, And one thing that happens is people, when they start confiding in you, there's no distinction between work and life. So sometimes they kind of talk to you about their personal stuff that they're going through, and being the person I was, I used to listen to them and offer them advice or some breakthrough or some way out or something of that kind. And slowly I moved into formal coaching because my work expected me to manage teams, and the teams would come and talk to me, and more work related coaching. And I've always looked at the potential that people brought to the table. So I would not look at who they are today. I was looking at who they could become tomorrow. So that whole orientation of taking people from where they were to where they could become. So that kind of, it's kind of a wiring, something in the head. So every
Yeah.
time you talk to people, you kind of take people, and that's how the coaching journey began.
See,
And
I
I used to
remember,
coach a lot.
yeah, that's right. I remember when
Yeah.
I came back from my sabbatical and I had an interaction with you, things which I could not see for my own life, that whether I could write, whether I could create a brand for myself, those are things which you could see potentially, basically. You could see the potential in me, and I was completely lost, and I was at crossroads whether the kind of break I've taken from a corporate was right or wrong, right? If you remember those discussions we were having initially. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's what coaching does in some form, because you are detached from the current issue. You're offering an external perspective, and you're not judgmental. You
Hmm.
are with the person to
Hmm.
understand where the person is, and take the person, almost like handhold the person to the next level.
Hmm.
So that's how coaching began. Of course, now for the last 8 years, ever since I'm on my own,
Hmm.
I'm a professional coach. So I also do life coaching, career coaching, leadership coaching.
Hmm.
So people come up with their own issues relating to. Sometimes it's issues. Sometimes it's just they just want to. Like I normally say, coaching begins when people want a change in
Hmm.
their status quo. You know,
Hmm.
something they want to change. They seek a change, and that's how they approach me for coaching. So
Hmm.
that's how it happens. So that's been the journey, and I'm really I love this work, because there's always this sense of a great deal of fulfillment when you work with people, and they come back and sometimes tell you that what that day when you spoke to me made an
Hmm.
impact for me, and that's for us a huge reward. So that's what I enjoy in this work, and the work continues.
Yeah. How's been the transition for you from a corporate sector to becoming a coach?
Yeah, so corporate sector, I was in the learning and development function, so I knew how things work, on the coaching side, because I was in the same industry.
Hmm.
So I was on the other side of the table, and now I became a consultant. Um, so basically, from a corporate life, a paycheck-driven life to being on your own
Hmm.
is a transition.
Hmm.
And fortunately, I prepared for it about almost like a year before I took the plunge.
Hmm.
Um, So basically, what happens is that you have to understand that you have to let go of that predictability. The month end.
Salary जो मिलता है.
The NEFT that hits your bank account. That vanishes. That's
Hmm.
one. The second thing is that you not only are you talking about the unpredictability of income, you're also talking about unpredictability in terms of the cycles.
Hmm.
you know uh, Even if you whatever you get, it's not uniform. It doesn't come every month the same amount is not coming, right? So you also have to understand and plan in advance,
Hmm.
and you also have to realize that you have to create a pipeline of clients.
Hmm.
So it's a very different ballgame. You're always 24/7, you're thinking about your own work, and you have to build your brand. And this work that we do, there is no advertising, so to speak. It's all by word of mouth, and how
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
kind of get come across your brand, and how they bump into you, so to speak, in the social media or something of that kind. So working to create your own brand, and writing about stuff that you've been doing, um, being in constant interaction with people, uh, writing about your own case studies, of course, with names being masked, I'm saying, of people. So you also help people understand what coaching is, because a lot of people don't understand what coaching is many a time. They may need it, but they don't know that it is known as coaching. And they may also not know that there are people who offer this as a service.
Yeah.
So how do you create your word out? So these are all part of the transition. How do you,
Yeah.
from the safety of a corporate career, you
Hmm.
move into your in uncharted waters, and then you kind of create your own path. You're on your
Yeah.
own boat, and kind of paddling along.
So
Of
one
course,
thing is you can
what helps is,
time, right? Time is one thing
sorry,
which is with the time is what something with you. You can plan your day rather than when you were in corporate sector that time was not with you because it happens
yeah,
according
yeah,
to
yeah,
work hours. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. One very significant, refreshing change is that there are no goals that come from the top. So 30 years of having worked in the corporate sector, you're used to looking upward for goals,
Hmm.
and then you have to just execute them. Of course, you create
Yeah.
your own strategies, but basically speaking, it's all driven from the top, so to speak. But when you are on your own, it's your own goals, your own. There are no weekends and weekdays.
Hmm.
Uh, Honestly, I'm more busy on weekdays now, because a lot of corporate folks want coaching on the weekends. You know,
Hmm.
so I'm more busy on weekends than on weekdays sometimes.
Hmm.
So it kind of the whole kind of changes. And now it's all virtual because I have clients all over the world, which was at one point unheard of, and now you're all connected through something like this, like Instagram. I'm saying, you're connected on FaceTime or different platforms or Zoom or something of that kind, and you have access to the entire world.
Yeah.
The stuff you write on your website is visible to people all over the world. Inquiries come from all over the world, so you're working across different time zones. It's fun. It's real fun. If you love your work, it's bliss.
Yeah, that's true, and which we can see that you actually love your work, because that's how so many people are connected to you as well. So because whenever I see whenever I tag a post, I can see so many people reading it. Basically, for example, with the poster also, I could see so many people connecting to my Insta account to follow and to watch this episode. So I could understand there's so many people you've got as a follower. I mean, you've created that impact for yourself. And now the next question is again related to importance of coaching. So for youngsters who are watching this show, just wanted to know, like, why coaching is really important, and how do you find a coach?
Yeah. So coaching, as I mentioned, coaching is when the seed of coaching is sown when you want some change to happen in your life. It could happen in your personal life. It could happen in your it could happen in your career. Even within a career, you're kind of you're lost somewhere. You're going through a transition. So, for example, you're suddenly being given people to manage, and you are struggling now. You're struggling with delegating, or even stuff like you're not able to manage and prioritize your time. You're stressed. So anything that you start feeling that I need to make a change, this is not okay. That's how people come for coaching. And the advantage of coaching is that a coach, the coach is distanced in that sense. He has a detached perspective. He looks at the problem or the issue that the client brings in a very detached way. At the same time, in a very empathetic way, which means that he really wants the client to kind of get over this problem or kind of solve this issue, so to speak. So the coach always works with the agenda of the client. So for people who are thinking of some things that I'm really juggling with, I'm struggling with, can I make a change? This is where coaching comes in. Because the coach is also an external person, you can confide in the person completely, because a coach, one of the contracts between a coach and a coachee is it's 100% confidential. So when we have conversations with the client, nobody gets to know. So even when I do corporate coaching, many a time when we do corporate coaching, the coaching setting is not happening in the office. We are meeting in a coffee shop or something, because that is the extent to which we preserve the confidentiality. Of course, now online, we are doing that. So basically, what I'm saying is, whenever you think there is a need to change, coaching can play a big role. And because we work with the agenda of the client, we are always with the client. And one of the things we normally say, stay with the client. So we are always with the client. We are figuring out, where the person is, what is the context. So in that sense, the importance of coaching is really that you get an external perspective, you get a non-judgmental perspective, you have somebody who completely listens to you. And he tries to, and one of the things we do as a coach is we just hold a mirror and say, what, did you look at this? Did you look at that? So coach also is trained to ask questions, the right questions. And each question in some form opens another door. So when the client talks to the coach, comes with an issue, but then he may or may not have considered certain perspectives. The coach, with his own experience, brings certain perspectives and has a certain conversation with the client. So that's the importance of coaching. So coaching, in a lot of ways, is very powerful, because the coaching can actually take you to your potential. So many a time, people they don't even recognize what their strengths are. So many a time when I have conversations with people, and when I ask them, what are your strengths? And they're completely blank. So I work with them. I do something as a victory list. I send them a list, and I ask them to jot down all from their childhood, their accomplishments, and then they struggle to, I work with people who are maybe 40 years old or 50 years old, and they come up with some 8 accomplishments through their life, and I kind of push them, and I finally get to about, say 50 or 100, And I tell them, what? This is because you are extremely self-critical. Your benchmark for your accomplishments is too high. That's not how life works. So in that sense, coaching challenges you. It moves you. It kind of makes you a little uncomfortable also, which is a good thing, because discomfort also creates learning, and it also helps you understand different perspectives when the coach is holding the mirror, all in an ambience of complete confidentiality. So a lot of times the client can actually open up a lot of stuff, and many times we may begin with a career discussion, but then it enters life, the areas of life, because I always believe that what you're here, you're everywhere. You can't be at work a certain person and at home a different person. If somebody's struggling with say trust issues, it will show up in all these settings.
All the areas, yeah.
So
And,
yeah. Yeah.
next question is related, like how do you find a coach? Because there are so many people, coaches available. How do you identify which coach is perfect for me? Or,
Yeah. That's
because youngsters also, for example, if you look for online courses, any courses, they're available everywhere on internet, which one to choose. Same way, right now, there are so many coaches, and what suits my needs, I will not know. That's a question people ask. So how do they go about it?
Yeah. So that's a good question, and I will probably answer this in two parts. One is, of course, that people. So in my case, people come into LinkedIn and maybe type out, like I'm a career coach, a life coach, and a leadership coach. So they might type out career coach, and my name might show up there, right? But what I realized is when people ultimately reach out to me, they tell me that we've been following your articles for the last 6 months or 8 months or something of that kind. So they are wanting to, in some form, they are kind of finding out, is this the right person for me?
Yeah.
So somewhere they are going through my writing, because I write a lot about life lessons, and they're seeing a connect. They're seeing that and I also write about coaching itself. I write about how coaching has benefited people, case studies on coaching, and all of those kinds of things. So people get a sense of this person, and then they kind of reach out to me. In most cases, I've seen the first call is really a kind of a chemistry setting call. So they're also, and I'm very happy to have that call, because I also realize that nobody can jump into the relationship like that. So the first call is really, they want to know more about me, and I kind of give them a sense of what I do for them, what I've done in similar cases. For example, I might kind of open up some conversation with them. So I would say the chemistry, the building of chemistry is very important. So one is, of course, so in a corporate coaching setting, the HR team does that. They do all the filtering and go through they shortlist coaches. They have a conversation with people like me, and they may be having conversations with other coaches as well. And then they finally shortlist, and then they present us to the client, and then we have to make a presentation to see are we fit. So that shortlisting happens in a corporate setting by the HR team. So that happens. But in an individual setting, a lot of people are actually kind of finding out who I am through the various ways in which I interact with the world. So they look at my website, they look at my LinkedIn profile, they may go and search out stuff and things that I've commented on. So this is my experience. People, when they come and finally get in touch with me, they're kind of almost followed me for some time.
Yes.
Some people have also said me that told me that they've been watching me almost for the last 6 months or 3 months or 4 months, something like that. They've been, and when I talk to them, they tell me that they recognize this writing in a particular article. So that's how it is. You can find a coach, but to be able to have a coach who works for you, is a tricky part. Is a tricky part.
Yeah. So I remember when I had requested for the 366 codes, which came in. So I used to have it on my desk, and I used to read every day. Probably I was noticing about it from a very long time. Then I took this sabbatical, and then when I saw your newsletter used to come, and we used to see that Insight and Sight, so which is about travel and life lessons, so which is again resonated with me. So one of the reasons that I connected with you in that way. And probably, and I always tell people also that I have a coach and I talk to a coach, because reason is it's very important. My father used to tell me that you should have a coach. So, and because they will help you to navigate in life where you're stuck, and or otherwise at least somebody to listen to basically. So, but I've also seen, so I've been very vocal that I have a coach and there is somebody, but a lot of people are not vocal also about it. So what is your advice on that? Should people talk about it more so that people are encouraged to have a coach and they don't have to deal with something alone? Basically, somebody who's already experienced, they can actually tell you, I mean, give you a perspective which can help you in getting the solution faster.
Yeah, so coaching also as a discipline has its own uniquenesses, I would say. So a lot of people think that to have a coach, they must have a problem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they must have a problem, and when I say problem, it means that I'm not able to fix it myself. So a lot of times, it also showcases their own vulnerability. Right? So a lot of people will not acknowledge that they are having a coach. It's sometimes, in some form, it's like going to a psychiatrist, for example, or a mental health professional, right? You don't acknowledge that you are going to a mental health professional. So for that reason, also, many of my corporate clients sometimes they want to meet outside, and they are very open about that. Also, they say that if you come into the office and they get to know that I'm being coached, so that little hang up, does not allow people to come out and kind of openly endorse coaching. One, so you'll also see that, for example, if they've gone through a coaching program and they've got some great benefits by their own admission, they may not even recommend you because they don't want to say that they've been coached in some form. So, but then you also have people who are very open about it. They talk about it. I've realized that people who come out, who come directly to me and not through an organization, they are much more open, and they're quite. They kind of spread the word, so to speak. But people who have come from a corporate environment, they are much more guarded and much more cautious, and for understandable reasons. So we can understand that, I mean, you're a corporate professional also,
So I keep telling because I'm also part of a reverse mentoring program in my office as well. So I keep talking about, because it's like when you have somebody to listen to, somebody can give a different perspective. Whatever you're going through may not be a problem, may not be something which for example, if I was writing and I was writing about something, I might discuss with you something and I might come up with an idea basically. So it all depends upon what it is. So, and it's good to have somebody to talk to. Basically, apart from your normal routine life as well. For example, somebody from your family, friends, or anybody, it's better to have somebody who's seen life, who's experienced it, and who can give you unbiased and non-judgmental opinion as well, rather than the other people who know your life and will always look at from a different angle. So that's what I think. And probably I tell other the youngsters specifically is that it's having a coach is not a bad idea. For example, if you're going for a fitness exercises, also you have a teacher there. For yoga, also you have somebody there. So they're there to guide you to become a better person at whatever you're doing basically. So that's why these coaches are important, and they teach you some of the life lessons and leadership lessons as well, which you can take to your work or life wherever you want to. So it's better to have somebody who's experienced in that area. For example, I have friends who are very good readers, who are authors, or who are coaches or trainers. So it's a different group of people I interact with. So what happens? It's not that one person. If, for example, if I'm not coming to you to discuss about sports, I will come to you to discuss about something else. So different people will give you a different perspective. So that's what I keep telling you. Don't look for all solution from one person. You can get it from different people as well. Some might be your coffee buddies basically. Some might be your tea buddies. That's how it is.
So when we were in learning development, when I was managing the function, I would always say that have a battery of mentors in your life. Somebody with whom you can be yourself. You should be able to have a conversation without having to worry about where will this conversation take me, what will people understand about me, what is the perception that I'm forming by asking you. So I always say you must have I used to call it a galaxy of mentors. It's like you are at the center and you're surrounded by a galaxy of mentors. And for various, like you said, for sports, I go to a person, for life related stuff, I'm going to somebody else. For issues relating to work or career, I'm going to somebody else. So I would always say that, seek help. See, asking for help, in my opinion, is one of the biggest breakthroughs that I can ever imagine. Asking for help. Um, so it all boils down to that, asking for help. And we know that, asking for help is not easy. We must also understand that.
It's not easy, yeah. Definitely not
Yeah.
easy. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
So when we have conversations,
when I was
when
doing an NLP, because NLP is something which helps you
yeah,
to want to get into coaching, and so you were telling me just do research, and I got another NLP coach. So another coach is this, so she gives me a different perspective completely. So
yeah,
and she's
yeah,
not able to define a career for me or my life for me. She's just doing an NLP. She's doing that course with me, and she's taking me through different journey as such, and which helped me find out how I am, why I am the way I am. Basically, those answers were very clear for me. So that she's
yeah,
also another coach. So I keep talking about her also everywhere, and because it's important. If somebody wants to do NLP, they can refer to her or to anybody else. But there are coaches available like that. So that's the only way I can also recommend people, and also
yeah,
it maybe it can become an acquaintance or a friend or a coach, whatever way they want to. So yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah. Next question is, what is your life mantra and how do you live your life to the fullest? Because I see you always smiling and and full of energy at this age as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, so I have a habit of, and I've written about it. I have a habit of looking for the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is life. For me, this is how I experience life. Uh, so I have a way of, I will savor the I will savor the nectar of life. I say that I flirt with life. I flirt with life. So which means that I'm always on the lookout for stuff. So I might even I might be you and I could be having coffee somewhere, and I could write a whole article around it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the fact that we met after such a long time, and we had coffee together, and how the coffee tasted. Now, a lot of times when I write about it, people are saying that, what, we also have coffee, we also meet people, but we never thought about this in this way. And that's, I believe, this is where something, magical is hidden. Because and I believe that if you look for the extraordinary in the ordinary, there's so much that you can extract from life.
Yeah.
There's so much magical happening around us, in that sense, right? So, and you need to have that perspective. So my life mantra is, wherever I go, I'll keep on looking for the extraordinary in the ordinary. So I'll be talking to people, and suddenly some conversation happens, and I say, I'm talking, I'm going in an auto rickshaw, for example, and I'm having a conversation with the driver, and something tells me about him. And I find that to be a great, I was going through with the Uber driver, and he had come from UP, and he was new to this city, and he was using the GPS. He had no idea, right? So fortunately, the GPS helped him go from one direction to another direction. And I realized that he was so new, and because I speak Hindi well, so I had struck a conversation with him. And I realized that, it's his main objective in life was that he's got 3 daughters, and he wants all of them to be educated. He's come all the way from UP, and he works in Bangalore. And his sole objective is to have them educated. And I was wondering, look at his vision. Look at his vision, And for me, at that point, he was a role model for me. And I've written about him also, in one of my posts. So every time you meet people, you're curious, you understand, you are in awe, and you're in wonderment. You look at the sky and you see a pattern today, and you see, oh my God, see, the sky looks so different. Now, who has time nowadays? Everybody's looking downward, mostly on mostly on their cell phone, So that's my life mantra. I keep looking for the extraordinary in the ordinary, and I feel if we've gotten that, every day there's so much to be, so much to observe, and so much to savor. That's been my and that you've seen my writing as well.
Yeah, so
I could write about. Yeah, I could write about something that my wife cooked.
Park also, right? Anytime your friends come over, I've seen all those articles. It's so beautifully written, and there's small moments, and we do not realize that there is so much of depth and so much of story, so much of connect. That's what is very different.
Yeah. So, and I've realized that if you wait for the big moments in life, they're few and far between. So a big moment is what could be that you buy a big car, or you buy your own house, or you get a promotion or something. I'm saying that, if you count those instances in your life, maybe you have 40, 50 instances of that kind. And what happens is, as you grow in your stature, what used to be big no longer appears big to you.
Yeah.
Now, the normal car that you bought at one point in time, which made you so happy, no longer gives you happiness, right?
Yeah.
So you also shift your own goalposts. So now you have fewer and fewer things to be happy about if you wait for the big milestones. And my mantra is every day there's enough to
Yeah.
see and
Enjoy your
enough
little
to savor.
moments in life.
Yeah. And there's enough supply of magical moments in your life if you go
So
around looking for it. That's what
yeah,
I'm
so you
saying.
have to look for it basically. If you do not look with those
Absolutely.
those
Yeah.
twinkling eyes, you will not find it. That's for sure.
Yeah. 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 That's true.
So,
That's true.
so you know about NiMiTHAM. So we started off with NiMiTHAM being a life
Yeah.
skill workshop. So what we thought we'll do workshop with schools and colleges, but because of COVID, it was we're not able to do it. So what I thought
Yeah.
is bring in people from my own life with whom I interact. What are their thoughts on life skills and their inspirational story? So I can take it to the youngsters, so they can also know that there are different people doing different things. May not be everybody's not an engineer, CEO, or a doctor. They're doing whatever they want. Might be an artist, somebody who's taken economics, somebody's into psychology, architect,
Yeah.
and also it gives a different perspective. So that's why I also wanted people to know, like, if I have a coach or somebody, they should also come on the show so that they also know that they are also believing in this cause and
Yeah.
and let us know also that is life skill so important, and according to them, which life skill is important as well. So that is a normal. That's a question which I ask every guest speaker who comes in. The same question to you as well. That is life skill an important thing, and according to you, which one is important?
Yeah, life skill is certainly very important, in my opinion. And my way of looking at things is that our traditional education system teaches us only how to make a living.
Yeah.
It doesn't teach us how to live life.
Hmm.
So from that perspective, life skills is extremely important. And today, I would believe that there's so much happening in the world. So many life has become the world has become quite complex. Uh, I can certainly say, because of my age, I can say how life used to be and how life has become today. It's very complex. So I would certainly say curiosity. For me is extremely important. Curiosity means what? Curiosity means you are you're becoming like a sponge, and you continuously learn from new happenings, new way of looking at things. You also examine your own. You are curious about yourself. How you have developed over a period of time. What are new learnings that you need to go through life. So curiosity is also about the relationship that you have, about people around you, about world happenings. So curiosity, I would believe, is significant. That's one. Empathy. Empathy is, we are always saying, and as the COVID has proven also. Um, so as coaches, one of the things we are kind of, we learn as how to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, which is typically empathy, right? So when a client comes to us and has a conversation with us, we are not quick to say that, oh, why did it take such a long time for you to solve this? The solution was already there at that point, right? We are not in that business at all. We are working with the client to figure out where that person is at this point, thinking about that person from that person's perspective, and how is it that I can take that person to where he wants to go or she wants to go, right? So empathy, and we are learning all the time, right? So we become very clued on to the client's mental makeup. What are the stuff that he's carrying, his perspective, her perspectives. So empathy, I would believe, empathy, and of course compassion. Uh, so I would say curiosity, empathy, compassion. If you get this, in my opinion, it's of course the list of the WHO, the WHO,
Yeah, there are around 10 life skills
that's
which
a
are very
that's a that's a
important.
long, yeah, that's a long list. That's a long list. But I would certainly say curiosity, empathy, and compassion. Um,
So yeah,
very important.
next.
Very important.
So you
Yeah.
write, you travel. So we want to know what are your hobbies as well. So people think that when somebody is coming who's a coach and all, they may not be having any hobbies. They will be very strict, like a strict principle or something like that. But I always tell that my coach has so many hobbies. He travels, he writes, he talks about food and all the stuff. So yeah. So what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. So basically, so today the work I do is also a hobby. So it's a pursuit, which is a serious pursuit for me, right? So I when I do training or coaching or consulting, I don't take it like a like work. for me, because I'm following the whole my mantra of contributing to people's lives. So from that perspective, even that is a pursuit. Sometimes some things that I really enjoy. That's one. Of course, I have a whole side of my writing, and for writing, I write about careers, serious stuff, which means leadership or career related, on my website. And then I have this what I call as frivolous writing, which is about picking on the trivialities of life, and I enjoy that. So I could write about a walk in the park. I could write about sitting on a bench. I could write about a bus, a municipal bus ride. I could write about sitting on a cycle rickshaw, for example. Uh, I could write about, and of course, food writing is a big thing to me. So I keep constantly looking for places to go, and I'm a vegetarian, so I have my limitations. So I go to stuff, I go to places. And of course, my family, I'm surrounded by great chefs at home, so they keep cooking and serving up. So I write about that, and then of course travel. Of course, because of the COVID, we're all kind of constrained in that sense. But taking pictures, traveling. So in a sense, the mind is always occupied in a good way. It's either some kind of work, which is your career related kind of work. I'm saying, which is coaching, consulting, training, or it's writing. So, and of course traveling, and
How is
that's
the life? Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So I just want to know, how is
yeah.
the life different from Delhi and Bangalore? So because you've spent a lot of time, a lot of years in Delhi, and now in Bangalore. So how do you feel? North and south, completely two different directions.
Yeah. So, so I'm basically from Kerala. I'm basically a South Indian, but I was born and raised in Delhi. So I lived for over 4 decades in Delhi, and then I came to Bangalore about say 18 years back, 18 years ago. I'm saying. So I love Delhi. I love Delhi. I love Bangalore. So people tell me, "Do you miss Delhi when you're in Bangalore? Do you miss Delhi?" I don't. I say I don't miss. Because I believe that I've been there. I've extracted all that I could from Delhi, and for a long part of my life, my career. When I was with my corporate career, I used to travel to Delhi on work. Every month I would be there, and I would always try to combine a weekend. I would go and meet my old friends and acquaintances and all that. So that connection always is there. When I came to Bangalore, it's like in some form homecoming, because I'm very close to Kerala. So I'm just so I keep driving down to Kerala. Of course, the pre-COVID times. So I'm enjoying the best of both worlds. From Delhi, I can I can speak Hindi, I can speak Punjabi also on the Delhi side. I have not picked up Kannada here, but I can speak Tamil and I can speak Malayalam. So I'm enjoying the best of both worlds. I love Delhi, I love Bangalore. So I tell people that when the Delhi folks meet me, they kind of feel disappointed when I say that I love Bangalore. So I tell them that you don't have to hate some place to love something else.
Yeah,
So I can love Delhi as well as I can love Bangalore. It doesn't have to be that if I have to love Delhi, I have to hate Bangalore. I have to love Bangalore, I have to hate Delhi. So I in both places I have my connections, I have my networks. I enjoy being in these places. So that's what I do.
So the name of the show is Kapi Poha. So Kapi is coming from Bangalore and Poha is coming from Mumbai. That's the love for the
Yeah,
city.
yeah.
So yeah, now the last question, we're coming to an end of our session. So we want to know
Yeah.
your message to the youngsters, basically.
Right. So I would message to the youngsters. I would always say, be a curious learner. There's so much happening in this world. So much is happening. On a daily basis, hourly basis. I'm saying. So be a curious learner. Become like a sponge. Never become cynical. Never become cynical, because that I see a lot. It's almost become like a fashion to become cynical of everything. So never become cynical, and always remain hopeful. Always remain hopeful. So I have this very strong sense that tomorrow is better than today.
Yeah.
And I keep saying that the hope is the engine of life. never give it up.
So we always, the best is yet to come. So whatever has happened,
Absolutely.
it's happened, but
Absolutely.
now future is still there. So let me look for any
Absolutely.
comments or any questions, if any.
Yeah. Sure.
So there are no questions as such. So in case anybody has any questions, they can DM me or reach out to Raman sir as well. So it was great having you on the show, and I had a great time talking to you. And hope our viewers also must have enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, do reach back to us. And thanks for your time, sir, for coming on to the show. And viewers, let's catch up next week with another interesting coach itself. So another coach is coming next week. So looking forward to for interaction with him as well. So yeah, enjoy your weekend. Have a great time. Enjoy life.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
You're welcome.
you. Bye.
Bye.